Hey man, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just a little bummed.
What you bummed about?
I mean, the season's almost over.
One more day, but I get it, man. There's just something about the sport. The way the skates sound against the ice, the crowd coming alive at the best moments, and just that anticipation between every play, every moment that you just get to feel that jolt of energy coursing through.
What? No, I don't care about any of that. I owe one of these jerks a jersey at the end of the season because I promised it in the bracket challenge and I am not winning.
There's no chance you can win?
Yeah, I'm a lot closer to last place than I am winning, but I don't think that's a good representation of my hockey knowledge.
Well, I mean, it's not that expensive.
It's not about the cost. What if I want to keep it? Low quality fans of a high quality Bruins team. We need to talk. Yeah, you knew the conversation was coming. Now we gotta talk about it. Because I've been seeing a lot of shit that I don't agree with lately. A lot of negativity. I've been part of it. But we're gonna address it. We are gonna put it out in the open. And we are really gonna find out how fucked we are. That's the goal. I'm gonna go position by position. We're gonna talk about what we have and what we don't. And this is gonna prime us for the free agency talk that is coming starting next week. Next week might be a 2-episoder because I kind of want to do an Unrivaled review, or at least maybe we do a live chat about Unrivaled. Maybe that's what we'll do. We'll do something for it. The documentary, Wings, Avs. I'm really excited for it coming out the 26th, but we'll have a conversation about that at one point. But I've been seeing a lot of stuff. The first thing that really comes to mind here is that you should check out the Short Shift Pod. Snuck it in there. Nailed it. Please do. We're having a lot of fun. We'd love some more people to join in. Honestly, the numbers keep going up for it, which is awesome. More people are joining. So jump on, have some fun with us. It's a pretty decent pod, I would like to think. But what I've really been noticing is we're 3 games into the finals. By the time you're hearing this, we'll be 4. And the Bruins weren't good enough to be in the finals. That's what I'm hearing. And I agree. These teams have taken it to a level that I don't think the Bruins had this season. I'm going to be honest. A lot of people are talking. There's a lot of media outlets that are roasting the franchise, saying the front office has no plan. There's no prospects in the pipeline. Bergeron's going to walk. The team's going to be solely in the basement for the next decade if we don't rebuild right now. And even if we do, well, there's no guarantee we're not in the basement for a decade. The worst part about all that is you could definitely argue that it's true, right? Like, you can argue every single one of those points, and you'd at least have a point to stand on. That being said, I want to talk about the actual state of the team. Not just freaking out for the sake of freaking out, but are we screwed? And it all starts with, are we asking the right questions? Which the right question is, what do we do next year, right? But that's too vague of a question, so let's narrow it down. Can this team compete next year? Should we bother to compete, or should we blow it up? And what does blow it up mean? Those are the 3 questions I'm going to set out to get a better understanding of. How we're going to answer that is we're going to go position by position, like I just mentioned, and we're going to talk about what we have signed right now and what's in the pipeline signed. RFAs, I'm still going to mention, but Curtis Lazar, Patrice Bergeron, that's a weird order to put those 2 in. They're not counting because they're UFAs, and that's not what we're talking about right now. We are cap strapped right now at $80 million. There are moves to be made, and we'll talk about that in the free agency videos. But right now, we're going to really talk about what we have without all the speculative bullshit that people are doing to come off really negative for clicks. We're not doing that, says the guy who just named this video a Bruins Panic Meter. Ooh, I'm clickbaity. We don't like that. We don't like that. The best place to start, I say, is down the middle. So we're going to start with centers. No, we're not. No, we're not. We're not starting with centers. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Wait, should we just end the video now? Blow it up! Like any self-respecting coach or GM, I would start from the goalie out. That's what we're gonna do. So, let's talk about our two goalies. We have Ullmark and we have Swayman. Both played 41 games in the regular season last year. Swayman took over the net in the playoffs and was the better goalie. But these are our two guys. And I'm comfortable with that. I'd set the goalie panic meter at around 20%. And even that feels kind of ridiculous, right? Ridiculously high. Because if you really think about it, both of these guys have potential to be a number one. But the reason there is a panic meter is because I have no fucking clue if either one of them's actually going to grab it next season. I really thought someone would this previous year. And you can argue at times somebody did. But not for the entire season. Never for the entire season. I'm curious as to what we get out of that. And for prospects behind them, the two most interesting prospects are Brandon Bussi, just because of his name, but he had a hot start in the AHL, posted a .920 save percentage in 5 games. And then Kyle Kaiser, who did not have a good season. He even had a little time up in Maine. We're not exactly ecstatic about the year he had, but he does have a lot of potential. I think he's a future NHL backup, honestly. I've said that for a couple years now, but Swayman and Ullmark are your guys. And if one of them goes down, the other one's good enough to hold the ship. Just neither one's grabbed the job yet. So the panic meter can't be 0. And with no one ready to step in, I mean, you usually like to have a little depth, you know? That feels like a good start, and it's only going to get better. Left defense. We have Hampus Lindholm, Matt Grzelcyk. We have fucking Derek Forbort. I forgot his first name for a second. We have Mike Riley, and we have Zaboral. Jacob Zaboral. Jakob Zaboral? Jacob Zaboral. Zaboral. I'm putting him on the left right now because that's where he normally plays. He is a prime candidate for getting moved to the right because we're going to talk about the right side in a little bit. But if you look at that lineup and say, oh, I don't know about it, I don't know what you're seeing. We have talked about Grizz and his concern. But with Riley and Zaboral in the wings, Forbort is a steadfast guy on the third pairing with a couple interesting prospects in Ashawn and Callahan, neither of which I think very high of. I think those guys are meant to be 7th, 8th defensemen. Either way, with the 5 you have, you feel really good about that. This might be the strongest area of the team by the way that I'm dissecting them. My panic meter is at 0. Lindholm, Grizz, Forbort is a really good left side. Lindholm, Riley, Forbort is a pretty good left side. I mean, chuck Zaboral in anywhere in there and you're still pretty happy. We're starting off strong. Goalies, 20%. Left defensemen, 0%. There's no panic. This team's great. This team, nothing can go wrong. Right defense. McAvoy, Carlo, Clifton. Right there. Man, you don't have really any depth. Interesting prospect on the right defense side is Victor Berglund, but he didn't have a great year. You would like a little more depth there because we're not sure what we're getting from Berglund yet, although Andrew is very high on him. But it's a perfectly acceptable right side for a contending team. I truly believe that. So we're through 3 positions already. Panic meter for right defense just because of lack of depth is 20%. I really am happy with our goaltending and defense. You build from the net out, and we have that. Now, I know what you're thinking. What about all the surgeries? What about McAvoy missing time and Grizz missing time? I am operating under the assumption that a year next year where we miss the playoffs isn't the worst thing in the world, although I'll be devastated when it happens. But if we tread water and get these guys back, we're going to be a hard out. As far as the defense goes, we're going to be a hard out, right? The Canes struggled with us. They did. We took them to 7. Yeah, the away games weren't kind to us, but we still made them work for it. This team has room to improve. And defensively and goaltending, we have fucking got it. We're good. Let's talk about forwards. Do I do that? I'll do the centers now. I'll do the centers, I guess. You know what? Just for shits and gigs. What's your panic meter at before I say mine? Because this is what we have signed. Eric Howla, Charlie Coyle, Tomas Nosek, and Jack Studnicka, who's an RFA. Interesting prospects, that would be Beecher, Merkulov, who's listed as a left wing, but has mostly played center as far as I am aware, so I'm putting him at center, and McLaughlin. I'm really, really interested in Merkulov. I really am. I know everyone's pronouncing that name differently. Leave me alone. Beecher, I don't know, man. If he ends up being a middle six center, I'll be ecstatic. This past year was really rough for his stock. But when you look at the guys we have signed, Hala's not a 1C or a 2C. Coyle, not a 1C or a 2C, unfortunately. God, I was really having higher hopes for Coyle. Nosek, not a 1C or a 2C. Studnicka might not even be a C. Panic meter is at 100%, boys. At 100%. We will have arguably the worst center depth in the league if we go into the season with that. I think that's a fair statement. That's terrifying. I didn't even have all of these. I have a little section for overall feeling, how you feel about it. I didn't even write that here because there is no overall feeling. It's fuck all. It's absolute dinosaur doo-doo. It's when he pulls the glasses and there's that giant piece of shit. You know the moment? That's a lot of shit. You know what I'm talking about. That's what our center is right now. And I like some of these guys. I really like Coyle. His contract's too big, but I like having him on the team. I've rooted for Studnicka for a long time. I love the Nosek signing, even though it didn't really work out the way I wanted. Hala is a guy that plays for our team. You can't say anything really great about this group, though. So we should definitely just move on because I feel bad. I feel bad about it. Right wing. This is pretty good. Pasternak, Smith, DeBrusk, because he's been playing a lot of right side, sort of. Oscar Steen. Interesting prospects, Liesel. Panic meter, 35%. This would be way worse if I wasn't so high on Liesel. It'd be way worse. But I like Smith. I know a lot of people are upset about the way the season ended, and Smith was not good to end the season. But I still think he's a very versatile guy, and I like having him on the team. Obviously love Pasternak. Oscar Steen, I think, should be really, really good bottom six right winger. DeBrusk, I don't know. I don't know what we get. I don't know what we get. We don't have a lot of depth there. We don't really have a lot of depth anywhere. But if that's our grouping and they're healthy, that right side is not a weakness. It's really not. It's really not. Who's facilitating in the middle? It absolutely is. But it's not the right side that's the problem. Left wings are a little more controversial for me. Marchand, Hall, Frederick, Foligno, because he didn't get bought out. DeBrusk, because he's naturally a lefty. Interesting prospects. Fucking Lauko, maybe, even though he was really bad last year in the AHL. Not great. Not great. Marchand and Hall are a really good start on that left side. A really good start. But whereas the right wingers have a couple of guys that are just solid and can do damage and have these hot streaks, the left wing, which I'm really not including DeBrusk in, I shouldn't even have put him here, we need to see a massive step forward from Frederick, and Foligno is a non-factor. He's a non-factor. That's not great. Panic meter is sitting at 60% there. The forwards, of course, are going to have the higher panic meters. We knew that. But the center is a very weak group. And the bottom half of the left side, very weak. Very weak. I think Frederick can change that massively. He could change my mind before the season even starts. Because I really do think he's capable of another big jump. Which we saw a jump before this season. I want to see more of it. But I think that's our weakest spot other than down the middle. Here's the good news. It's a very clear defined, hey, we need more offense. Hard to fuck that up, right? Hey, we need more offense. Let's go get more offense. The bad news, centers are notoriously hard to find, especially a 1 or a 2. And left wingers are also not in a plethora of availability. There are some guys we're going to talk about in the free agency videos that I'm excited about. Not so much at the center position, though. So let's get back to the question at hand. Can this team compete next year? As we stand right now, with no decision from Bergeron, with this being the team we're going into the season with the injuries that we're going to have to deal with for the first couple of months, no, we cannot. We are going to paint a picture of how we could for the free agency videos, but right now as it stands, nope, we can't. And even with a really solid free agency and a really good draft, which won't really affect next season, this is going to be a borderline playoff team at best for a year. That's fair, I think. But it leads to the second question. Should we bother competing or should we blow it up? Neither. Well, we should bother competing, I'd say. Because blow it up isn't happening. The only way that we do a nosedive and blow it up is if David Pastrnak says, I don't want to play here anymore. But think about it this way. If that doesn't happen, and we have a down year next year, look, next year really doesn't feel like it's our time. And that's okay. I'm going to watch every fucking game. I'm going to love every moment of it, and we might be really surprised by some performances. That's what's great about sports. There are teams you just don't see coming. And that's the Bruins. All day. Think about this again, though. Look, the center position is tough. It's full panic. I get it. But let's think about it this way. We're going into free agency this year. I want to set this tone right away. Because this year, we are cash dry. We don't have a lot of wiggle room. People are going to get moved. We're not going to be able to keep all of our assets. We have to move active NHL guys to free up cash. But we have about $25 million in cap space if it's a flat cap in the following year. We have about $25 million in cap space. We also are done with a ton of these contracts. We will have signed in 2023, 2024, Marchand, Hall, Coyle, DeBrusk, Oscar Steen. Those are your forwards, right? This is not talking about ELC guys right now. Defense, you will have McAvoy, Lindholm, Carlo, Grizz, Forbort, Riley, Zaboral. And that's pretty much locked up. Now, one of those guys is likely moving, but that's pretty much locked up. And then you have Linus Ullmark, and you know that Swayman's going to be re-signed. He's going to be an RFA, but he's going to be re-signed. You're really talking about $25 million in space, signing Swayman, which shouldn't be super expensive on his first real contract, signing Pastrnak, which will likely be expensive, but then you have a ton of money to play around with to fill in a massive amount of bottom six roles. If a couple guys, just a couple from our farm system hit, just a couple, say Merkulov hits, Beecher's a solid guy, say Studnicka finds a role, whether it be on a wing, that's fine. Liesel looks great like we expect him to. I mean, you've got pieces that will come in and fill in a few of those spots, and then you just need to make the right moves. Just the right moves in the offseason. This year might be a whatever. And next year might be the goal. That happens sometimes. But those saying that a retool is impossible, I don't think are crediting how many really good guys we do have on the team and how well built this team is from the net out. The scary thing is center position. You can find wingers, but can you find centers? I believe this year is a retool, and we have a ton of potential for 2023, 2024. It doesn't change how I feel about next year. I'm really pumped. And let's be honest with ourselves. Now, there's all levels of fanhood, but let's be honest. Starting next season, watching a lot of young bloods step in for injured guys is actually going to make it way more interesting to start the season. We have been a team that just makes the playoffs every year for the past few years, And let's be honest, the regular season gets kind of boring sometimes, especially right in the beginning. After that first couple weeks where you're just happy hockey's back, there's a beginning portion where you go, all right, yeah, I know what the team's going to look like and blah, 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 blah. You want to see some of the youth. And we're going to get the chance to do that, which is exciting. So to loop back, can this team compete next year? Yes, but not at a cup contending level, at a playoff contention level. Should we bother to compete or should we blow it up? Remove blow it up from your vocabulary. It's not worth it. It is not worth it. Should we bother competing? Always. I do not like bottoming out. I hate watching my team suck. I hate watching games where the team isn't good enough to hold interest. Where they're so bad that they're more aggravating to watch than anything else. You should not hope for that. A retool is possible. If we were in a position where the retool, a one-year retool wasn't an option, which I believe it is, if that wasn't an option, oh, fuck it. We got to blow it up because I don't want to be stuck in purgatory forever. We should bother to compete. We should try to teach the young guys the right way and fight for a playoff spot. I believe we should do that and let the cards play out. I don't think we should be big buyers at any point next season, though. And honestly, that goes for free agency this year. Unless you have a chance to snag a center that you really want, you don't really bother. And the last question was, what does blow it up mean? But we've already been over that. It's a retool, not a rebuild. I believe that's what is best for this organization right now. Yeah, a high pick next year would be great. And we'll bottom out if we literally can't compete. But the team should always compete. And the guys in the locker room want to compete. Alright guys, it does it for me. I know this video was a little weird. Didn't make a lot of sense, not a ton of structure. But I hope we had some good conversation about it. I hope to hear from you down below. I hope you don't get too aggravated at the fact that there's an ad before the video now, because now I'm monetized like a fucking sellout. I'm kind of figuring out how all this works. So if there's some sort of annoying ads that are popping up, like ridiculous ones, let me know. I can't really see it from my end, so just let me know if there's anything obnoxious going on, because I hate ads as much as the rest of you guys. I really do. But hey, go Bees!